Story 1. Yes, very often, one of the greatest upsides of not getting affection or physical affection is that you forget how it feels and stop trying to get it. Well, I do get affection, but very rarely from my family. Edit. This thread has become a literal pity party. Story 2. That's every day for me. The only activities I keep doing constantly are watching YouTube, Twitch, listening to music, and eating, excluding my actual job. Other stuff like reading, gaming, Netflix, going out, and taking photos feel kind of pointless now, so I just don't do it anymore. Story 3. Psychiatric nurse here. Could be the blues or a mood disorder. Not enough history here that would include physical, social, as well as mental health. If it concerns you, that's a good enough reason to see your physician. He may recommend a psychiatric consultation. You just may be normal, and this shall pass. At any rate, your self-awareness is to be commended. If this should persist, my advice to you as a first step is to have your doctor rule out any physical causes. Environmentally, we are all challenged at present. Hang in there, baby. Story 4. Sounds similar to my depression symptoms of apathy and dissociation. It can also be seasonally affected depression disorder, which is caused by a lack of vitamin D. Humans produce vitamin D from exposure to sunlight. Generally, seasonally affected depression disorder sets in during winter because people cover up more skin with warm clothing and from being inside. Seasonally affected depression disorder can still happen during warmer seasons if you stay inside or out of sunlight for major portions of the day. Story 5. I have been feeling like this a lot in the past 2 years. In the last few months, I've figured out what caused this. I'm consulting, and I'm not in a depression. Stating it because it is often seen as such. It simply is a lack of ambition, thus lacking a goal to strive for. Personally, I set aside my ambitions because I wanted to have a strong foundation for my family. But this didn't involve personal goals. It was more about maintaining what I had. Instead of keeping on autopilot and living well, set goals and create some ambition to help. Be it career, school, physical goals, or even reaching a certain rank in a game, anything is good. By having goals, you will need to learn to get better and achieve what you are looking for. As simple as it may seem, planning 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year objectives is something that helps you define this. Story 6. You're feeling down. What's bothering you? Sharing your thoughts can be the first step to feeling better. Feel free to talk to me if that will help. I'll listen, show support, and won't judge. We all need that sometimes. I got you. When I go through periods of feeling like this, I try to push myself to do the things I enjoy. Often engaging in them will inspire me. I hope you feel better soon. Love yourself. Thank you very much for the recognition. It's a huge compliment, and I don't take it lightly. Let's normalize being kind to each other. It can be rewarding. I hope you're good, my friend. Story 7. Actually felt this way for so long that I went to a psychological evaluation to see if I had sociopathy. I don't, thank God, but I learned it is not uncommon for men because we are told to hide our emotions. We get so good at pushing them down that we forget to feel anything at all. So, curse society for messing up men so badly that we forget what it feels like to feel anything at all. Story 8. Yes, this is depression. I've been there. The best way I've heard it described is as if everything you eat is mashed potatoes. No matter how you cook it or what you do to it, it still tastes like mashed potatoes. Everyone suggests adding peppers or something to change the flavor because you used to enjoy pepper. But you know that no matter what you add, it will still taste of potato. So eventually you stop adding anything at all. Trust me though, it will get better. Slowly it will get better and you'll begin to feel things again. Color will return to your life. I know it's hard. I know it's slow. I know at some points it will seem completely pointless. But I promise you it gets better. Story 9. The people mentioning depression have a point, but I think that carries a lot of baggage, so I'll be more specific. Anhedonia. The inability to derive pleasure from things that used to give you pleasure can be a symptom of depression. It can also be a symptom of many other conditions that appear as we age. Brain chemistry is quite complex. I found that in my 30s, a lot of bad sleep and exercise habits caught up with me. I started seeing a doctor regularly and following his advice. It turned out I was vitamin D deficient, which was a real issue for my mood. Exercising a few times a week improved a lot of things. I still drink more than I should, and I think that damages my mood, but it helps for a few hours now and then too. Anhedonia is a feeling I watch for, and it lets me know I'm doing something wrong. Stress and anxiety are big problems for me, and anhedonia is how it shows. Story 10. Let me put it to you this way. When you have dealt with people making fun of you for your dad committing suicide, encouraging you to commit suicide, making fun of you for having a disability, trying to manipulate you for their own monetary benefit, and getting furious with you when they fail, further making false accusations and nearly ruining your life. Numb isn't a strong enough word. Story 11. We damaged our serotonin receptors with social media, and now mindlessly scrolling through our phones and engaging in occasional self-gratification gives us happiness faster than accomplishing real goals would. Story 12. I'm going through a breakup. I get in my car on a daily basis and think to myself, if I get hit by a semi-truck, I'm fine with it at this point. It's been miserable. And yes, everything is bleak and numb. I'm 26. Story 13. Yes, it's depression. I've had it most of my life. People think depression is being sad all the time. They have no idea what depression actually feels like. The good news is it can be treated, so go see a doctor so you can get better. Story 14. Yeah. I remember being in my 20s, broke and just looking up to rappers and luxury items, going into malls and staring at Gucci bags and trying out suits, etc. I would be a freeloader and crash at places. Then, I would go to a car dealership and act like I had money just to test drive a luxury car. Now, I am in my late 30s. I make more than 6 figures yearly. I can afford pretty much any car I desire or any clothes or gadgets. But now that I am older, I just do not feel interested in it. I don't know why. Story 15. In order to have a fulfilling life, you have to work on your emotional side. You cannot have passion for life or anything if your emotions are suppressed and hidden away. This can lead to depression and is often a symptom of emotional neglect. What is emotional neglect? A majority of parents just want what's best for their children, but some are abusive and neglectful in many more ways in addition to emotional neglect. It is invisible and thus often overlooked in favor of treating physical abuse and neglect, understandably so. It is certainly present in abusive homes, but also can be present in homes where everything looks good. For example, parents are financially well off, have a nice home, provide great nutrition, the best clothes, the best academic education, and the best head start financially, never spanked, hit, or witnessed domestic violence. So it's easy to assume people brought up like that had a perfect life. However, it is quite common that parents, whether with bad intentions or good intentions, are ill-equipped to handle and support their child emotionally. Child Protective Services won't spot these issues and can't really do anything about it because there are no physical scars or malnutrition to document. Examples of emotional neglect. Told to stay out of sight when you're upset or crying. Rarely hugged or cuddled. Told you were too emotional or dramatic. Always cheered up with money, such as a new toy, new clothes, etc. Told as a child that your problems didn't matter because your parent had so much more going on than you. Being punished for having emotional reactions, for example, your favorite toy broke or got lost, you're sad. Parents tell you to stop crying or you'll get a timeout. If you weren't happy and all smiles, your parents would not want you around. There are many more examples, but this really gives you a good idea. These things might seem trivial or not a big deal, and isolated occurrences aren't a big deal. However, if this is how you're brought up day in and day out as a child, over time you're taught that your emotions are to be suppressed and hidden. You're taught that your emotions make you unreasonable and wrong. Slowly self-esteem is chipped away, and you might only feel proud when you get that new promotion or when you buy a new house. But the feeling doesn't last. Symptoms of emotional neglect. Low self-confidence. Sometimes a seemingly little thing can set your anger off. When something bothers you, you don't say anything. You'd rather avoid uncomfortable situations. Depression. Anxiety. Afraid that if you open up, people will leave you. Poor ability to maintain or develop habits. You often work until you burn out. You have difficulty resting and being kind to yourself. And more. Needing nurture, emotional support, and unconditional love is part of being human. And if that was missing, it affects you deeply. Fortunately, you can heal from this. You can learn how to open up and pick up healthy habits. You can feel fulfilled and at peace with who you are. You can be happy. This won't solve all your problems, but recovering from this will make your financial problems, relationship problems, etc., feel like you can tackle them without burning out. Here's a few resources that might help you. Running on Empty by John Ice Webb and its sequel. Amazing books that really help dig deep, giving you easy do's and don'ts for developing healthy coping skills and healthy habits. Really worth the read. The reason I highly recommend these is because they focus on emotional neglect, which is often and understandably overlooked in favor of more visible issues such as physical and emotional abuse. However, emotional neglect can be just as harmful as any other form of abuse, and Dr. Webb really helps you understand how to improve your emotional health and heal from your past. Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Pete is a general practitioner who specializes in helping adults recovering from growing up in traumatizing families, especially those whose repeated exposure to childhood abuse and neglect left them with symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder. He has a great deal of recovery from his own complex PTSD, and his professional approach is highly enriched by his own 40-year journey of recovering. 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. The book demonstrates compellingly why self-esteem is basic to psychological health, achievement, personal happiness, and positive relationships. Branden introduces the 6 pillars, 6 action-based practices for daily living that provide the foundation for self-esteem, and explores the central importance of self-esteem in 5 areas: the workplace, parenting, education, psychotherapy, and the culture at large. Therapy. All of these are a good supplement or prelude, but not a replacement for therapy. Whenever you're ready and able to get therapy, get therapy. A good therapist can really give you personalized guidance. Don't be afraid to shop around for the right fit. If you're having trouble finding the right therapist, learning some vocabulary about what issues apply to you can help you advocate for yourself more effectively with your therapist or when finding other resources. Use your library to get them free. Most of these are available via the Libby app by Overdrive, which lets you use your library card to check out ebooks and audiobooks for free. You can listen or read on your phone or use the Kindle app or e-reader to download them there. Very useful and handy. Also, older generation Kindles with the ink displays are available relatively cheap online. I got mine for around $40. Things to remember on your journey of self-growth. Progress isn't linear. Mistakes are normal and they do not erase your progress. Be gentle with yourself. You cannot shame your way into improving. Don't try to change every single thing at once. True lasting change is done incrementally over time. Take breaks and give yourself time to process. Naming your emotions gives you power over them. Self-care is a must. It comes in many forms, and what works for me may not work for you. Exploration is key. Someone else's abusive or neglectful behavior does not reflect your worth or value. You can do this. Break the cycle. Story 16. I'm going through a breakup. I'm trying to fix things, but I also just feel helpless and lost most of the time. Because of this, I've basically lost all interest in most of the things I enjoy doing. I'm trying to keep myself going, though, with books and running. Story 17. Yes, when I feel that way, I talk to my mom, my girlfriend, or my best friend, and they usually help me get interested in doing something. Getting outside, exercising, eating well, and doing breathing exercises all help to boost your feel-good hormones, that sweet, sweet dopamine. Don't underestimate it. Another common issue these days is a lack of focus. If you can pick one thing that even interests you slightly and devote a certain block of time to doing that one thing every day, you will feel the interest and happy feeling return. Never underestimate feeling a sense of purpose. It's something many of us are lacking these days due to COVID-19. Story 18. I'm feeling what you're feeling almost exactly right now, man. I found exercise works best for me to get my spirits back high. When my spirits are too low to get motivated, I'll pull up a motivational video on YouTube to get me pumped. C.T. Fletcher usually works best. Story 19. Usually it's because I've done that thing too much, and the realization that I'm tired of it and no longer deriving enjoyment from it catches up. The problem comes when I try to find something else to get enjoyment and happiness from. Story 20. Yeah, I have and I still do. I don't really have a way to cope with it, so I just focus on work and sort of push those thoughts and feelings away. Completely unhealthy, I know. Every now and then, though, my 3-year-old daughter, she turns 3 tomorrow, comes running up and gives me a hug, or hands me a dinosaur, or does one of 10,000 other adorable things, and I remember it's not all so bad. Story 21. That is a sign of depression, like nothing interests you anymore, and that numbing feeling of indifference to everything. You should get that checked or talk to someone before you reach the lowest point.